Hello and good day to you wherever you're joining us from and which part of the world you are in. It is so nice to be back at Ake Festival. Once again, this year a lot has happened with the pandemic and everything moving online. But what has also happened is the opportunity for us to reach more people, to engage more people, and to even have more difficult conversation in safer environment. My name is BC Alimi, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this session on Out of the Shadow. I am the executive director of the BC Alimi Foundation and also known as the Angelic Troublemaker. Today, I am going to be joined by some people who we're going to explore what it is like to be a trans person in Nigeria, to be an intersex person in Nigeria, and also to be a non-binary gender fluid person in Nigeria. This is going to be very informative, very educative, but also quite emotional. And I hope that you flow along with us and you will learn. So give me the opportunity then to welcome my guests that we're going to be having this conversation together. First of all, I want to welcome Tiwa. Tiwa, it would be a pleasure if you can just introduce yourself to the people watching at home.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from anywhere you're watching from. I'm Tiwa Tokbe, transgender girlfriend. I'm the programs director for Quest City Media Production and also a tech enthusiast and also a psychologist. So that's me. That's just my life, basically.
Thank you so much, Siwa. I'm going to come back to you because I know there's a lot that you're going to be teaching us and a lot you're going to be sharing with us today. But quickly, I am going to move to Nell. Nell, how are you? And good day to you.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Neil Thompson. I'm gender fluid. I'm okay. DC, nice to see you again. I'm fine, thank you. And I'm a geologist. I am an LGBTQ advocate and consultant. So yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me.
And we have our next guest in the house, a very powerful and advocate for intersex people in Nigeria, and that is in person of Eudora. For a lot of people who are in the marginalized community within the LGBTQI communities, we hardly see them and we hardly hear them. And it could be quite challenging sometimes. And why we believe that visibility is power. How are the marginalized within the marginalized navigating the shrinking civil society spaces to create voices, visibility, and empowerment? And we're going to be hearing from three powerful activists on this issue. And once again, welcome to Ake Book and Arts Festival, one of the biggest art festivals in Nigeria that centers African creativity at its core. And my name is BC Alimi. So, Tiwa, my question is, many people have heard or have not even heard of what it means to be a trans person, most especially in the case of Nigeria. And I'm curious if you can do us a service and explain to us in detail what does it mean to be a trans person within the discourse of Nigeria. Tiwa, over to you.
Thank you, BC. So, being a trans person in Nigeria is a lot of things. For me, it comes with so many things. It's not just something you should dabble into if you do not know what to do or if you do not know what you are. It's more like you affirming who you are. It's more of you. Let me put it that way. It's more of you being you, you living your life, you living how you want to live, how you want to be. Like, this is who I am and this is who I want to be. So that is what it means to be a trans person to me. And then to the Nigerian society, well, there's so many meaning of being what a trans person is. There's so many things around. So many controversy around being a trans person in Nigeria, which we have to break down today. First of all, Nigerian system has this whole kind of mentality around trans people that is not real. Like, first of all, before me starting my hormonal transition, I had so many stories of, oh, trans people are die on hormones, trans people are this, trans people are that. They do not even have an accurate definition or an accurate explanation of what a trans person is until later on I start like having to have the discussion with people, having to have the explanation with people. And at a point I'm like, you know what, I do not even think I need to explain myself to people. It's just me basically living, and that is what every other person that I know do. So that's it. Over
Yeah,
to you,
Tiwa,
Tony.
I'm going to stay with you a little bit. And the reason why I want to stay with you before I move to other is because there have been recently a lot of conversation around the understanding between cross-dressing, transgender, and transvestite. Can you please shed some light on this for people that are watching and are equally confused about what really is a difference? Or are there any differences? Or are these stages from one stage to another stage to another stage? It would be nice for people to understand this very well.
Thank you, BC. So what I would say is that I would say something. You know who you are, you know what you are, you know what you can do. You should know yourself better. That is the first thing I would say. Now, about cross dressers, transvestite, and transgender women, I would say transgender women and transgender men, but I'm a transgender woman, so I can only speak for myself, basically. So, for cross dressers, it's just more like fun cross dressing, like the way it sounds. You cross dress is something that some people do it for entertainment, some people do it for their self pleasure, some people do it for sexual pleasure. It's cross dressing. It's not I don't think it's supposed to be a way of living. I don't think for me, I don't think cross dressing is a way of living. It's just a way of you feeling in the moment of enjoying yourself. When you get home, you can. That is why it's cross dress. When you get to a particular space, you cross dress back to what you want, and then when you get to a particular, depending on how the circumstances is, how the environment is, how you want to live your life. And then for a transvestite person, I would say I was a transvestite person, pardon me, before before starting my medical transitioning. So the difference between a transvestite person and a transgender woman is you know who you are. That's just it. You know what you are. So me living my life, I live literally before my hormonal therapy. I live. I dress to go out. I don't change. I don't. There's no changing around it. Unlike for cross dressers, there's this change and you come back. But for me, I wasn't even changing. I There was literally nothing changed about me, about my dressing, about my living, about my communication. Nothing really changed until I started my hormonal therapy, and then okay, I have to change some few things, just some little things, just some things to make me affirm myself that okay, right now this is the space I am. I'm a woman, and this is who I am. That's it.
Thank you very
So
much, Tiwa.
sorry. Pardon me.
Okay, go on,
To
go
say
on.
something. For transvestite people, like I said, um, before hormonal therapy is what transvestite is. It doesn't mean you're a cross dresser. It doesn't mean you're a cross dresser. It doesn't really attach to you being a cross dresser. It doesn't attach to you doing it for fun or being you doing it for the internet. Let me put it that way because there's this oh internet wave of cross dresser, trans women, and then there's this erasure of transvestites, people not knowing who they are and people not knowing what they stand for. And that is where the problem is. Over
Thank you
to you.
very much. So now I know that before we started this session, we were having a conversation, and I said that you're non-binary, and you told me that you're not really non-binary, that you are gender fluid, and oh yeah, yes, I got slightly confused even when we were having that conversation, and I just want you to please introduce yourself again. I know you've done that before, and tell us as well what is difference between a non-binary person and a gender fluid person.
So yeah, it's quite distinct. Although most persons will want to equate them together as being in the same spectrum and all that. But being non-binary, these are people who aren't associated with any of the gender binaries of either being male or being female. So they are just there in the middle, if I should use that word. But being gender fluid, I am gender fluid. So being gender fluid is being in connection with both of the binaries, but not choosing any of the binary gender. Like you're in connection with your male gender, you're also in connection with your femininity. So that's why for most people who are gender fluid, we tend to have a pronoun that has the binary that we probably associate with more. Like I am he they, they are she they for some other persons. Although there are still some persons who are they them, but basically being in gender fluid, it means you you flow with, let me use the word, you flow with the rhythm of your body. You don't feel that you're exclusively male, and you don't feel you're exclusively female, and but you want to keep in touch with your masculinity and with your femininity. You want to blend both of them together in your expression. By expression, I mean by the way you dress, your makeup, your shoes, even the way you choose to be addressed, and all that. So yeah, basically.
So, thank you so much, Eudora, for joining us. You are someone I have so much respect to when it comes to the issue of intersex person in Nigeria. There's still a lot of, gray area around being an intersex person in Nigeria, and it will be lovely if you can take the moment to please explain to us, in details, what does it mean to be an intersex person? And like sexual orientation, are there spectrum, or is there a spectrum to being an intersex person?
Thank you, BC, for that question. What it feels like to living as an intersex person in Nigeria. Living as an intersex person in Nigeria is more like living in shadows. People do not know that you exist. Yes, you are there, but people do not know that you exist. I don't know. There is this Airtel advert circulating, where the person is very invisible to others. That is that when the first time I saw the advert, that clicked in my head. Oh, these people are just trying to, they actually explain the existence of it, because we feel like we feel like we are there, but people do not even, on the people do not even acknowledge that we are there. You have to explain yourself daily, because this is Nigeria, where everybody is programmed that the sex is just male and female, and that's it. There is nothing in between or anything. This is country where everybody is programmed that you will meet a he or a she. In that case, anywhere you enter, somebody will look at you and feel that this, they should assign you to this sex. Sometimes they will like, because you are like this, oh, you have to be a he. Because you are like this, you have to be a she. So you have to start explaining every day. You even have to explain to people that this is who I am. This is who I am. Not this. I am not this, and I do not want you to put me into a particular box. This is who I am.
I mean, the title of this conversation is From the Shadows, right?
Okay.
And the whole idea is that visibility for the minorities or the marginalized within the concept of Nigeria is very limited. And let's talk about transgender identity within the shadows, right? Within the shadows, not from the shadows now, that within the shadows. What it is like for you as a trans woman living in the shadows of your own reality in a country like Nigeria?
There's this conversation around trans people in Nigeria that some people are more trans. And like I say, it has to do with you knowing who you are. You do not owe yourself, or you do not owe anybody, sorry. You do not owe anybody explanation of who you are. You do not have to let people validate who you are. For the trans community, for the trans person, you don't have to let people. There's this. Okay, now let me say this. Before it got to a particular stage of my life that I consider me being fully actualized, but there's no full actualization. It's just me getting to start a better phase of my life, which I think. I used to put my validation in the hands of people. I used to worry so much about, okay, do I look good? Do I fit in? That's the word. Do I fit in? And that is where the problem is. Do I um do people see me as a transgender person? That is the word. Do people see me as a trans woman? And I don't understand the word, do people see me as a trans woman? I'm just being blinded by, okay, I want to be accepted. I don't know what it means to say, oh, do people see me as a trans woman? I don't know what it means. I don't know the word around it. I don't even know the aftermath of that word. But then I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to pass. I don't want to get clocked. I don't want to get killed. I don't want to get jailed for being who I am. And the moment I broke out of that chain, I feel accomplished. I feel like I am living. I'm beginning to start my life properly the way I should. So I don't think there should be a validation in the shadow. I don't think there should be um, a way to feel better than you feeling better with yourself. You feeling like, okay, I'm a woman now, and I don't need people to tell me, oh, you don't look like a woman, or you don't look like a man, or you look somehow, or it's just me living my life. It doesn't need your validation. It doesn't need your acceptance. It doesn't need your requirements. It's just me living my life.
Thank you, Tiwa. And I'm going to take a clue from that conversation around fitting in that you gave now. And I want to go to now. Because as a gender fluid person, right, how have you been able to start that communication, that use the words to discuss who you are with people, whether within the LGBTQI community or, like Tiwa said, the bigger population in Nigeria?
I think when it comes to expressing myself in terms of discussing my gender with people within the community and outside the community, for me, I don't really come out. Let me use that word because already most person see me as family probably femme presenting and for them they're like, okay, it's just probably effeminate and all that. So they don't really won't have a conversation at first. But for those who want to understand, who want to have a conversation, who goes to ask, okay, like the other day, that was last month. I went to an office and I went to register for a program. So the receptionist bought a form. He typed it on his desktop, printed out the form and gave to me. So I was filling this form. Then I go to the space of gender, and I saw male and female with a box to tick. Then I went back to him and I was like, sorry, I have a problem. He was like, what's the matter? I was like, in your gender space, I'm seeing male and female, and you're saying gender, and there's other gender that goes beyond male and female. So he was confused. He was like, do you mean people like Bob Risky? That was what came out from his mouth. No. I was like, no. I was like, Bob Risky is a cross-dresser, and that's not a gender. I'm talking about other genders like intersex, like non-binary, like gender fluid, like trans. And this is someone, this is a total stranger, right? And this was me there in that office trying lecturing him about gender identities and the several spectrum of gender identities. So I was like, no, we have other genders. We have the intersex, we have the trans, we have the gender fluid, we have the non-binary. It goes on and goes on. So I started breaking it down to the simplest form that I could. This guy knows just A and B, and this is me trying to tell him that okay, I'm not talking about Bobrisky who just want to wear a dress. I'm talking about real life issues of what different persons and different other persons go through and how they see themselves, and this is who they are. So towards the end of the conversation, he thanked me and he went back to his desktop and changed the added other and put a dot line for specify, just in case you want. So, and that was how that that works. So when it comes to talking about gender, I tend to communicate with whosoever that is open and willing enough to learn about it. Um, Recently, I started having my nails painted recently, and that is also a means of driving conversation. And funny enough, most persons who ask me about why are you having because unlike the usual painting of blacks, I normally go for varieties of colors. And so this lady asked me the other day. I was like, do you have to? Why are you painting your nails? I was like, it's an expression of gender and acts and everything else about me. So she was like, what do you mean? I was like, it means that I am trying to show the world. I'm trying to show the world who I am or how I see myself, and this is one of the ways whereby I'm I'm showing that. So when it comes to, I think the community itself. When I mean the community, I mean the LGBTQI plus community. I think most of them are just, I don't want to use the word ignorant. They are trying to stifle the, in Nigeria. I mean the community in Nigeria. They are trying to stifle the communication and the education on gender and gender identity. They feel like, okay, you're just trying to pick up labels. There's always labels here, labels there, labels there, and for most of them, it's always an issue when you try to have this conversation about gender. For most people, I'm speaking for myself and the persons I have come in contact with, I have interacted with, and those people in the community. It's always an issue when you want to talk about gender. But for people who are outside the community, um, it's two ways. There are those who are curious to learn, but there are those who also want to like see shame you for it, and you have to understand the narrative of where these persons are coming from before you could start a conversation. If it's someone that is genuinely open to learn, you know how to go about to address that issue. But if it's someone that wants to shame you, then it's another ballgame altogether. So instead of you to be shamed, you take the shame, grab it, and shame that person back. So
Yeah,
that's just
I find that very interesting. And I also find it interesting that you could have that kind of conversation with someone in Nigeria. I will be
Yeah.
so scared of my life. It's very interesting. So I'm not going to go to Eudora because one of the biggest conversation now that started about a few weeks back in Nigeria was when the Kano state governor was going to give money for the intervention for intersex children in that state. And that for me was really like, what is going on here? Because I know for years, people like you have done a lot of advocacy that there shouldn't be any form of gender correction for intersex people, that intersex people should be allowed body autonomy, and that when they grow up, they can then make a decision how they want their body to be. And, because we've seen cases where people say, oh, because this person has a more pronounced male genitalia compared to female genitalia, let's seal up the female genitalia and leave the male genitalia.
Thank you for the question on gender correction. And speaking about the case in Kano where they performed surgery on intersex kids, intersex persons, I was depressed when I saw it because I understand what it means to go through that gender correction surgery. You have to start explaining. every day you even have to explain to people that this is who I am, this is who I am not this, I am not this, and I do not want you to put me into a particular box. This is who I am. So living as an intersex person in Nigeria is more like living your daily life, explaining to people that you actually exist and that you are normal, because you have to because some people will be like, it's that normal, but you also have to explain that you are normal. There's nothing abnormal about being an insect. So that is basically, and then it gets to some point, yes, you meet some people who you think they are learned or they understand a bit, and they'll, before you will get, oh, I am an intersex person, and the person will ask you, oh, how many genitals do you have? I don't even, like, they do not understand it's not about the genitals. It's not about the gender. So there are so many spectrum of being an intersex person, and it doesn't really relate to any particular type. It's there's it varies. Now talking about, most time though we are always talking about female genital mutilation, but sometimes, which might be rare, it's actually intersex genital mutilation, because they are looking at it, say they thought it was, oh, it's a female, and then I have to do the culture of the mutilation. So the thing, and then growing up, you are groomed as a girl. You are groomed already as a girl, that this is who you are, and this correction is mostly affects the intersex women. Growing up, that you already program in your head, this is who you are, that this is, oh, I am growing up with my peers as a girl and all that, because this is this is the gender my parents assigned me, without knowing that that is not actually my biological gender. It is traumatic, because it will get to a point where your peers are getting to that part where they're experiencing changes in puberty, and you are different. You don't even understand what it is to, or what exactly that they are doing. It's mentally draining. Take for example myself, why coming up as a teen, my mates, oh, this, I felt, okay, I am growing up as a woman, I am growing up as a girl, I have to have experienced the same puberty stage with my fellow girls. But then it gets to that point, mine wasn't coming. I wasn't seeing anything. I was feeling like, oh, I am a guy. But seeing me, this is what I appear like. I didn't want, I didn't really understand it. It was confusing. At some point I'd be asking questions. So the confusion there, it's mentally draining. And when you see that, when then you finally realize that this is exactly what you want, this is exactly what happened. It is crazy. It is, imagine growing up that, and you believe within you that this is who you are, and then along the line you find out you are exactly someone else. Imagine growing up with someone else and you find out, oh, this is exactly who you are, this is not who you are. The stress, the mental stress alone, trying to deal with it, trying to, like, okay, this is how what I have, this is how what I have supposed to, this is the thing, this is the, you will try to calculate and put it one, like, it is draining. It is mentally draining, that you won't even understand anything. So this, the it affects intersex, that gender correction affects intersex person mentally, psychologically, and otherwise, and it damaged a whole lot of us out there. It damaged a whole lot of us out there. There are so many of us are depressed, but you won't even understand where it is coming from, but it is from within. It is what they go through as this person, and this is the sex assigned to them by their parents, or by, just like the governor wants to do, this is the sex they're assigning to this particular person. It is depressing. It is something that the torture in your brain won't go away very soon. So it is mentally draining. I was able to pick up and build my self-esteem because I have a goal. I have something I want to achieve. I don't know how many of us who might be able to pick up such courage, and that is why I am here to speak about their issues. Growing up, it's more like you're fighting a battle, trying to coexist among your peers. In your peers, you are always isolated. When people get to know that, oh, this person they are looking at a boy has actually a girl. This person they're looking at a girl actually has this intersex feature. So the stigma and discrimination affect each and every intersex kid out there. Imagine feeling isolated. And when it comes to for intersex person among the sexual minorities too, they are also the minority, because most time the movement and everything, they are always left out. People do not even understand that they exist. People do not even want to acknowledge that these people exist. So growing up is more like we are left out. We are not even taking the crumbs. We are left out automatically. So growing up is stressful. It's stressful. It's damage, like the damage, the whole thing. Imagine not looking at yourself in the mirror and I found that this is exactly who you are. And the stress, the mental stress of growing up is like me explaining it already. It's kind of hard.
Let's explore ability to find a job. Tiwa, I know that you are a therapist, and now I know that you just finished your NYSC. But now I'm going to come back to you. How easy has it been for you navigating the land mile that is the employment process in Nigeria? And how often do you have this kind of conversation that you had with this person, with people who want to employ you? Do you have to, you know, remove your nails? Do you have to present in a way that you are perceived just so you can get a job or get a leg through the door?
Whenever I have the opportunity to have that conversation, although I don't get to speak with my employer or all the time because it's many online and I don't get to. But whenever I do, I also make that known that okay, no, there should be a space for another option. But yes, just like you said, I take the nails off. Take the, I take the nails off. I take the nail polish off. I take everything off because in Nigeria, you can't even have a piercing. Let me use the word a piercing, and go for a job interview or a tattoo somewhere on your neck. It's already you will be profiled that okay, no, this one is probably a drug addict or a cultist or blah blah blah. Then nails with different colors. Yeah, I don't know how the employer is going to is even going to read. I don't know. I don't begin to imagine the meanings he or they are going to read over that. But just
Let
to
me coach you. Let me coach you a little bit now and ask this question. How does that make you feel when you have to, you know, remove yourself and go back into the shadows? How does
yeah,
that make you feel?
it's very depressing. It's really depressing. Like it takes a lot on your mental health because you're like okay, I have to do this again, and I may not even get the job, right? Then I come back and I have to do it. But what if I get the job? Will I be allowed to go to the office with my nails painted? Will I be allowed to dress in a certain way that I feel like to dress sometimes and all that and all that? So there are so many questions that comes into your head and you just realize that we live in a society that is choking on so many levels. You're trying to find your feet, you're trying to understand who you are, you're trying to be open and accepting to yourself and your reality, but you're walking out into realms that are there to choke you all the time and make you feel less human because of something as casual as a nail polish. So yeah, it's really a lot on anyone who dares to go out in that space, in the corporate space, open and very expressive. It's really a lot.
Tiwa, let me come to you. And let's talk about it being a trans person because again I want to revert to what you said earlier about, you know, the people and the fitting in and all of that. So how were you able to navigate the employment terrain in Nigeria? as a trans woman, whether it's in the process, like you said, because you said, as a person, you don't really finish, right? You're always in a process as a person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how were you able to navigate your ways, getting jobs, being able to take care of yourself, take care of your expenses, and your everything that has to do with you?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for the question. And then about the job, there is no let me put it this way, there is no general job system for trans women, because there's this erasure of tra- trans women in Nigeria, like it never existed. People don't even know what being transgender means, not to even talk of what being intersex means. So there's this bracket of it's either you are this or that. And then for me, I wasn't assigned female at birth. So right now, I don't even have the hope of getting a job. But however, there's a job system for trans people and non-binary people within the community. So I can work with an LGBT organization related thing. Um, it also deals with job you create for yourself, something you do for the community. Okay, this is what I do for the community. I think me educating the community this way is a job for me. It might not be payable, it might be payable, but me doing something, me finding myself to do something, it just makes me feel fulfilled within the community. But outside the community, me going to an establishment to get a job, I don't even want to start having no now did well to have the conversation, and then the person, not everybody is that reasonable, pardon me, not everybody is that reasonable. People in Nigerians are very judgmental and hypocritical to start with. So I don't think I want to start having conversation of okay, what is down below, what is down there, and I don't think I'm ready for that conversation. It's not a conversation I want to ever have with anybody that won't understand me. Is there a conversation I want to ever have anybody that won't understand me? Because obviously, before you start a conversation with somebody, you will know that okay, this person will understand. You will definitely, your intuition will tell you. But most people around that I've seen and met, me even having the conversation with it is just, it's just draining. It just doesn't end anywhere. So me getting a job outside the establishment of the LGBT organization is really hard. LGBT community is really hard. Outside, me getting a but I want to be a senator. I would love to be a senator, a Nigerian senator. But then it just takes a lot. It really takes a lot, and I just hope we get there someday.
Tiwa, you're one person I have so much respect for because your dream is so inspirational. And who says you
Thank you.
can't be anything you want to be? Because I strongly
Well,
believe that you are going to be the first openly trans senator in Nigeria. I speak that to the
yes,
universe,
BC.
and I do
Yes.
strongly believe on that. I'm going to stay with you, Tiwa, and I'm going to ask you this last time. What does it mean to be out from the shadows? And how much impact does it have on your mental health?
Okay, good. Thank you, BC, for the question. What it means to be out of the shadow and how much impact it has on my mental health. So being out of the shadow is a lot, basically. It is really a lot. Before before my transitioning, before me affirming to myself that this is who I am, I used to think there's a way to it. This is the better way to it. But me transitioning, it just brings everything to the light of okay, this is the reality. This is who you are right now. You have to struggle with it. I have to struggle with the system of the patriarchy. I have to struggle with me defending myself as who I am. I have to struggle with so many things. So it's just a lot. Being out of the shadow, it's really a lot, and it drains me. I it really drains me. So and then me being in the shadow, well, it went well. Being out of the shadow, it takes a lot from me. It took my family from me. It took my mental health from me because I really have to deal with a lot of things. mentally. I have to deal with myself. There are times I have to start talking to myself. And then medically, transitioning medically has this ripple effect on your mental health, kind of. So it makes you depressed. At a point I was depressed, at a point I was picking it up. It's just a lot. Having to deal with people outside, and now I have anxiety of even going outside. Unlike before, before my transition, I used to think, oh, I'll be able to go out, I'll be able to flex, I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to do that. But right now, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's like, it's not going to work this way. You just have to stay this way. You just have to stay in your lane so you won't get into trouble, or you won't get caught up in things you won't be able to deal with.
And I know this is not a fair question to ask, and you're going to forgive me because I'm going to ask it anyway. And this is a question that has been posed to me many times when I share the story of my coming out. And people will ask, will I do it again if I have the opportunity? And I want to ask Tiwa, if you have the opportunity, will you go and make this courageous decision to come out from the shadows?
No, obviously, no. But there's a good thing to it. Now, let me tell you something about the Nigerian system of when they say transgender people. There's this, you being trans in Nigeria, right? You being a trans woman or a trans man that is open comes with benefits. And this benefit is as a result of the fact that Nigerians are not used to they are not used to the fact that people are living. They are not used to living. Nigerians are used to being caged. They are used to being they're used to living in a particular system, in a systematic way. So many things are just negating, and so many things are just not right. And some things are positive. I'm not going to say that so many negative things, but you being out of the shadow, it comes with the positive part and it comes with the negative part. It depends on how you want to use it. Depends on the one you are picking. Depends on the side you are staying.
Thank you very much, Tiwa. Thank you. I'm going to come to now, but before I come to now, I want to ask you, Eudora, um, because I mean, the conversation around intersex in Nigeria is extremely depressing. There was once a video of a young intersex person that was humiliated on the streets
Yeah.
of Nigeria. I cannot remember where particularly.
Benin.
Uh,
Benin.
yeah, it was in Benin, and this person was humiliated on the
The
streets
boy
of
is
Benin.
small.
Yeah, and I can imagine how many intersex kids have been called witches and wizard and all of those things. I mean, can you share with us, right, with us that have limited understanding of what it means to be an intersex person in Nigeria? What are the biggest challenges that are available, right, um, to intersex people in Nigeria? And what are organizations that are supporting intersex people to navigate, these challenges that they face every day in their lives?
The question on what it is like growing up as an intersex kid in Nigeria and then talking about the boy from Edo State, those kind of stories are one of the things that makes me sad. It's imagine I'm trying to put myself in that boy's shoe and understand how he feel going through all those humiliation, going through all those public humiliation, and how it's dealing with him mentally, and how it has dealt with his self-esteem. Talking about name calling and all other things, just like you can't separate five from six, you can't separate intersex kids from name calling and insult. People call you witch, people call you wizard, people, even from family. You see that your family, some of them will think, oh, this person is a bad luck, this person is the reason why we have all this ill luck. I went through that. I had that first-hand experience because everybody felt like, oh, this person is the devil. This person is the reason why we this so and so thing happened. This person is the reason why so and so happened. this same person did not create him or has or themselves. So when I had this first-hand experience, so I understand every bit of it. So it's just like something that affects our self-esteem. Now, the major challenge we have is visibility. I will say visibility because there is not accurate, there is no, not even talking about accurate, there is no data out there to mention that this is how many intersex kids we have in Nigeria. There is no data at all. Even though some of us might have a one way or the other stand up to talk to speak up about our existence, there is still no data to say that this is how many intersex person we have. This thing, it's, I don't even know, because it's like that because the major data collection tools we have in Nigeria are restricted to either a he or a she or anything. They don't even have a space for you to put if you are not a he or a she or anything. So in that way, it's always excludes those intersex person. It's either that they feeling that they are a he or they feeling that they are she without capturing exactly who they are. So that visibility, if that data has affect the visibility at all. People do not even understand that the intersex persons exist. So it's more like there is no conversation at all. It is more like there is no conversation at all around intersex person and their existence. And then talking about organizations that are working towards intersex persons now, we basically most of the organizations are working for lesbian, bisexual, trans, and queer persons. Most times, there is nothing that has been done for intersex persons except the few conversation going on, except the few conversation with intersex-led organizations that are in Nigeria that just trying to raise our voices, trying to come together to raise voices to speak that we actually exist because we have been neglected for a very long time. We have been left out for a very long time. Nobody is even having a conversation around us. Nobody is talking about intersex persons. So it's just one or two or few organizations in Nigeria who are intersex inclusive and intersex led organizations. People like us who work with NGOs, people like us who want to go into NGOs. So the like, and then there is no empowerment opportunities for the people that you do not even acknowledge that they exist. How do you empower them? You do not even understand their existence. So how do you empower them? So we feel left out in everything. We feel left out in many ways. We feel left behind. Nobody is even talking about us. Nobody is even including us in anything. Nobody is even having conversation around our existence. Nobody is even having a conversation around what do we need. Nobody is even having a conversation around getting a data of how many of us that actually exist. So the experience everywhere, it's got across all. It is something that sometimes I get to sit and think about it, and those are the things that make me push towards achieving my goal, which is creating visibility for intersex persons in Nigeria and possibly in West Africa. So it's something that we really need.
Thank you very much. So before I pose my last question, I want to ask that question around employment to Eudora. We've heard from the experience of a trans person in Nigeria, and we've heard from the experience of, a gender fluid person in Nigeria. And I'm sure that the experience will be completely different from an intersex person. And we've seen that in sports, in the case of Caster Semenya. We've seen that in so many areas of, most especially in sports, where, people were told to reduce the level of testosterone and all of those things. And now we realize that it doesn't even make any sense in the first place. How has it been? Easy, difficult, or whatever it is when it comes to gaining employment? And the reason why I'm asking this question around employment is because one of the ways to liberate yourself is to have economic empowerment, is for you to be able to have access to employment, to have access to money, to have access to be able to pay your bills and become a person and experience that humanity of a person. So how easy has it been from from intersex person? And I don't want to talk about jobs in the civil society, in the LGBTQI spaces. I'm talking about in the banks, in petroleum industry, in the building industry, what has been the experience for trans person, for intersex person?
That question is quite interesting because let's talk about a situation where the employee and the employers will tell you that this is what they want for that particular job without even knowing if you are qualified or not. They already stated that, oh, this is the kind of person we want. Now, I am masculine presenting, and that is one thing that it's not something to deal with when it comes to employment spaces. It's just like working in a bank. I can't be when if I am working in a bank, I am expected to dress feminine as because as they are perceiving that I am a woman, right? So imagine me walking into a bank to say, "Oh, I am looking for a job." My appearance already strike it out, and going to other top places in government places, sometimes you are not even allowed to wear trousers into the space. It's meant that every woman, you are, as long as they see you and conclude you are a woman, you must wear either a gown or a skirt. So those things are the major challenges when they look at you, and then getting to places where you have to deal with things that you cannot condone because you are quite different from these people. It's something stressful. So there are no chances for employment for intersex person because most of us want to express ourselves the way we are, and then in that workplace you are already it is already programmed that he decide, she decide, without even leaving a space for it. So you already, this is discrimination in this space alone. It's unhealthy. The environment alone, it's unhealthy. So the only thing, I don't even think that any of us can actually get into this kind of spaces and work except people that people like us who work with NGOs, people like us who want to go into NGOs. So the like, and then there is no empowerment opportunities for them. People that you do not even acknowledge that they exist. How do you empower them? You do not even understand their existence. So how do you empower them? So we feel left out in everything. We feel left out in many ways. We feel left behind. Nobody is even talking about us. Nobody is even including us in anything. Nobody is even having conversation around our existence. Nobody is even having a conversation around what do we need. Nobody is even having a conversation around getting a data of how many of us that actually exist.
Now, thank you very much, Eudora. Now, I'm going to move to you now, and I'm going to pose the same question that I posed to Tiwa. I'm going to pose it to you, and and I know that it's been a journey for you to affirm where you are now. But if you have to do it again, will you do it based on the challenges that you've experienced so far?
With all what I know now and what I'm still learning and unlearning, if the challenges and if the scenario plays out again, I'm still going to do it. I'm definitely still going to do it. It is liberating. Yeah, it is choking. Yeah, it is challenging, but for myself, for my own mental health, it is liberating. So absolutely, I will do it again.
Okay, so let's let's round up quickly by saying that now, if there's any one moment of aha you want people who are watching this video to go home with, one moment of realization, one moment of saying, I'm glad I watched that interview. What powerful message do you want to send across to people who are watching it now?
I really would want everyone watching to have an open mind and to know that the world is beyond the binary male and female. Thank you.
Before I leave you now, how important are pronouns?
Pronouns are super important. it's like someone trying to invalidate your experience or your reality. That's how important it is. It's like you saying I am black. No, somebody saying no, you're white. You're definitely white. You have to be white. That's what you are. That you are not white. You know you're black. So if someone say, okay, I am he, they, I am he, him, I am they, them, or she, them, whatsoever. So long as this person say, okay, this is the I pronouns I want to be identified with, it is very important to respect and to call them by their assigned pronouns.
And how do we
It is
start the
super
conversation
important.
of pronoun? What is the best way to start the conversation of pronoun? So I meet
I
you.
think
How do I start that
I
conversation
think
with you?
I think the best way to start that conversation with pronouns is when you meet someone and it's always better, it's always great for you to ask the person, sorry, excuse me, what's your pronouns? But if you, because we live in a country where people disregard a lot of stuff. So, but if when you're addressing someone and use a pronoun that they corrected you, I'm like, okay, no, don't call me with that pronouns. Before you start wanting to understand or trying to have a conversation or argument about, but just respect the pronouns that they say, okay, this is what you should call me with. Then after your conversation, you can always call that person another day or have a conversation later to try to understand why I should call you this pronoun. Don't don't derail your conversation or or your discussion because you want to make an argument with someone because they say, "Oh, I'm a different pronoun from what you're calling me." So I think the best way to go about that pronoun discussion is, especially if the person is a queer person, it's the next question that should come out after their name should be, what pronouns do you identify with? I think for me that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you very much. One of the things that I learned about pronoun is that starts with yourself. So when I meet people, I always say, "Hi, my name is Christianine, and my pronouns are he, him." And I'm sure that when the person also wants to introduce themselves, they go, "Oh, my name is, and my pronouns are," and by that way, we set the ground for the conversation to go on. So, Tiwa, I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to ask you as well. What is the one thing you want people to take home from this conversation today?
Thank you, Bisi. So at a point in time, I got asked people at a point in time at BAF seminar. We had the seminar, this residency, and I got asked, "Who are you?" More like, "Who are you? What do you think of yourself? Who are you exactly?" And then, ever since that time, that question has been behind my mind. That even when I go home, I have to ask my partner, and I'm like, okay, what does it mean for people to say, "Who are you?" And it kept eating me. Like, okay, who are you, Tiwatope? Who are you? So I think one thing I would like people to go home is with the question, who are you? Knowing who you are takes you further in life, it makes you actualizes yourself, it makes you know yourself, what your self-esteem, what you stand for, who you are.
I'm going to put the same question to you, Eudora. If there's one thing you want people to take home from this conversation today, what would that be?
One thing I want people listening to me to take home is, please be open minded. Always be ready to learn. Do not conclude someone's gender because you are looking at them. Always ask. Just like you walk up to me and ask me my name, it costs nothing for you. Oh, what are your pronouns? I might not be a he, I might not be a she. I don't necessarily have to be a he or a she. So be open minded, be open to learning. Don't close your mind. Just imagine someone talking about speaking French to you and you do not understand French, but you actually acknowledge that French exists, French language exists. That is it. You do not understand the existence of intercessor, but please acknowledge that we exist. The acknowledgement alone helps us understand and accept that this is who we actually are. Be open minded, be open to learning. In a school of experience, nobody is a graduate. We learn every day, we understand every day. The world has a whole lot of things to. Nobody knows it all.
And thank you very much for everyone that has taken time out to sit back and watch this conversation. I think one thing we can all take away from this is the reality that LGBTQI people are Nigerians, are in Nigeria, they are coming from the shadows and they are occupying spaces. But as true formidable allies, it becomes our responsibility to create spaces, to create opportunities, and to create flashlights so that we can brighten up that shadow. Once again, my name is Bisi Alimi, and I want to say a very big thank you to our big sister, Lola Shunei, and the team at Ake Art and Book Festival for giving us the opportunity to have this conversation. This is just the beginning, and we hope that we're going to have more and more of this conversation in spaces like this. Until next time, I hope you enjoy the festival, and I hope that you've learned something today. Thank you so much for listening.
Let me introduce a new wave, we change the rules. A new app that you can use. Wanna change your life, then choose. Save money and invest. Pay bills when you decide. Safe and secure for you when you need a loan. Request it. One bank for you, one bank for me. So chill and enjoy the ride. Stop the call and to count on it. One bank.
One Bank by Sterling. Open a current account and start transacting.